Hello everybody, welcome back. It's me, your old pal Orpheus, with another edition of Orpheus Plays, here in Blade and Sorcery, the wonderful universe where sometimes it's a little drab and dreary, but we can paint the place up, make it a little bit more lively with some blood. We'll put some over here, we'll put some over there. Red is the new color of the season. Didn't you know that? Anyway. Hi, how you doing? I hope you're doing well wherever you are today. Whether it's day or night, or you're wondering how to redecorate this Lord of the Rings place that you're at, and strangely enough, I have Orcus the Goblin Cleaver, so that's going to work pretty well. Today I wanted to share something with you while we go through. We're in survival mode here, by the way, in the ruins. It's waves that come out, they get progressively harder. You choose from 3 weapons in between each wave. You know how it goes. You've seen this before. By the way, we are on the PC version today, just so you know. So, you know, a little bit more action might go on, more NPCs come out. So what I wanted to talk about today, let's get things kicked off right now. I wanted to talk about something that affects me every single day in my life. And if you have this sort of condition, maybe this is something that affects you and you might relate a little bit to this. But a lot of people are unfamiliar with the topic or the concept of schizophrenia. Okay, schizophrenia is a mental condition. Normally the biggest symptom from it. Oh, let's do our first traditional slow motion kill of the day. Ha, psych! You're getting the rock. Man, you see that look of surprise on his face. Well, we redecorated this part of the floor. Let's keep going. Anyway, schizophrenia is a condition or a mental disorder that is most often typified by having delusions, right? So you hear things, you see things, you smell things that aren't real, all right? They are things that are manufactured in your head by whatever going on, and it could be genetic, it could be chemical, it could be from stress. Some people have what's known as a psychotic break. And one of the things that can happen is a bit of schizophrenia. You start hearing things, the dog starts talking to you, you know, stuff like that. Now, I'm going to try to keep it kind of light here because this is something I don't think we need to get horribly deep into. Lady. We don't need to get horribly deep into the impact that it has emotionally on people like that. I'll go into that in another video. This is just nasty. Anyway, I'll go into that sort of stuff in another video, but for this one I just kind of wanted to explain concepts and what it's like to actually have schizophrenia. So, there are different types of schizophrenia. Now, I want to address something real quick. When I was growing up, and I think it's still a thing today. Here, come here. I think it's still a thing today. Most people incorrectly think that schizophrenia is multiple personality disorder. MPD, or multiple personality disorder, is completely separate from schizophrenia. Someone who is schizophrenic, it's about, you know, experiencing things in the world that aren't there. And so, a lot of the times people think, like I said, multiple personality disorder is the same thing. Oh, he thinks he's a dog at night, so he's schizophrenic. No, that's not how that works. That's another condition completely. So, now that we know a little bit about it, it can also be delusions, like paranoid delusions. You think people are after you, things like that, okay? So, there are different types of schizophrenia, obviously. There's ones that are synesthesia ones, where you can taste things that are weird, or you hear things that are weird, or you smell things. There's obviously voices, right? So people hear voices. You hear about that a lot in the news and stuff. Wow, I got his arm and his head at the same time. And he's standing up. Wow, look at this. Woof. Anyway, so you'll hear a lot in the news, occasionally people that have, they hear voices, right? And so sometimes that's something that people use as an excuse, and there's a lot of true crime videos where you'll see people that get into the interrogation room or something, and they're hearing voices. Oh, I hear all these voices. They're telling, it's the demons, man. They're telling me to do stuff. Well, while that stuff happens, normally it's not quite, it doesn't come on like that, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know, you go into a shopping mall and, you know, blah, 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 and then you come out and you're in the interrogation and you're like, oh, I heard these voices. That's not really how it works, okay? If you've been hearing voices your entire life, if you've been hearing voices your entire life, then it is entirely possible that they can have some sort of influence on you, right? Well, there's other types of it that affect a lot of other people. And one of the ones that affects some people is one that affects me, and something that I have and I deal with every single day, and I have since I was 8 years old. And that's hearing music all the time. I have another video where I say this is what it's like to hear music 24/7, and I have music mixed in the background. So normally I have songs, you'll hear it here right in the background. See, there it is. Yeah, all right, so I've got that music going on in the background normally, but I mixed it in that other video so it sounds more like what I hear on a daily basis from that music. It's a little louder, it can sometimes be a little distracting, and it can sometimes kind of drown out what else I'm doing in that video. Well, that's what happens to me once in a while, right? Well, what is that like? I get people that ask all the time, what is it like to actually hear music all the time? Well, this is what it's like to have schizophrenia all the time. Because mine branches out a little bit more. I have schizoaffective disorder, which means that I have a combination of bipolar disorder. We're all familiar with that, the highs and the lows that come along with that stuff. Ooh, she enchanted my sword as I was killing her. Nice job, lady. Ha! It's gonna throw this and look all cool. Nope. Oh! That was epic. Cut off his foot with a bouncing strike. Anyway, so schizoaffective disorder, or schizoaffective disorder, is a combination between bipolar and schizophrenia. So what happens with me is sometimes the bipolar can trigger things a little worse, but it's more like all sorts of environmental factors make it complicated. Stress can do it to me, make the music louder or more frantic music. Inappropriate music is something that I have to deal with all the time. There we go. I got your staff. Where'd you go? Anyway, inappropriate music is something I have to deal with. When I'll be like at a serious party or during a wedding reception or something, I've mentioned this in another video as well. There can be horribly inappropriate songs going off in my head. The number of times that I've been at like a serious like cocktail party or something, and like ICP is going through my head for some reason, like Great Malenko's. And suddenly a bunch of you are like, Orpheus, you know ICP? Yes, I do. Another story coming about that another time. Let's just say backyard wrestling. Anyway, so sometimes it's triggered by environmental stress or life stress if there's something going on. It can be made a lot worse by illness. So there have been times when I've had a high fever, and it's kind of like if you could tune in every radio station in your area at the same time. There was just so many songs going in your head sometimes. In my head, it's just like, oh, wow, right? Okay. So schizophrenia, what's it really like? It can be a little confusing sometimes because my condition is progressive and it's degenerative, which means that it gets worse over time. And so I started with just the music, all right? And that's pretty much how it was for most of my life. Occasionally would hear some weird stuff, like some hums and things like that, but I think that kind of goes with the brain damage as well. For the last 7 years or so, and it's been getting a little worse as I go along. Nope. Got you both. It's been getting a little worse as I go along. I'm starting to hear like clicks and pops. Right? So if you have like headphones on right now and you hear some of the sounds going on in the background, right? So if you hear this guy over here, you see this, you hear the stuff that he's doing, right? That kind of I'll hear that once in a while. That's kind of how it started when it started branching out. And from there, it turned into like pops, okay, like clicks and pops. And then I'd start hearing my name occasionally. And this wasn't like, it didn't just happen overnight. It would be like in a place. Okay, so my name, I think I've mentioned this in a few videos. I have a very unique name, like one that you're not going to hear someone crying out. You're not going to hear someone calling out my name in a crowd unless they see me in the crowd. It's not like, hey, John, and 15 people turn around. No, my name's not John. It's something much, much, much more unique than that. No, I won't tell you what it is. Meh. It's just as unique as Orpheus, pretty much, with the OE in the middle. Anyway, so I would hear my name. I'd start hearing my name in places. And it wasn't like, Orpheus, 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 someone trying to get my attention. It's just I'll be sitting in my living room, and all of a sudden I'll just hear, Orpheus. It's like, what? And my therapist would ask, how do you know that it's not real, right? Yeah. Same thing with the music sometimes, and the like the clicks and pops and everything. She says, how do you know that it's not, that it's not just someone walking by or something like that? And it's like, well, first of all, because it comes sometimes from about like 6 feet off the ground off to my left. Like it's impossible for someone to be calling my name from, right over here, like up in the corner there. It's, unless there's a goblin up there, or a speaker or something. But so it'll externalize. And okay, so another question that people have is, do you hear it inside your head or do you hear it outside your head? Does it sound like there are clicks and pops and music playing from a speaker that's just hanging over my head somewhere? Well, that depends as well. Sometimes it will be, most of the time, I'll say most of the time, it's in my head. All right, so it's, I made a community post a while back where I talk about how I got some bone conducting headphones. All right, they're not really headphones. Well, I guess they would be headphones instead of earphones, right? There are these things you put on your head that like rest on your jawbone a little bit under your ears, and it conducts the sound directly into the bones of your head. And I put that thing on for the first time and I turned it on and I'm like, wow, because that's, oh, hello. That's kind of like what it sounds like. If you really, sharp knife. If you really want to know what it's like, go get some bone conducting headphones and put those on and put them at about, good enough volume that you can still hear what's going on and still form your own thoughts mostly, but make it loud enough that it's distracting. And that's what I deal with all the time. Well, that's interior. It sounds like it's inside my head. She jumped at that one. Wow. But sometimes, just sometimes, I'll be there and I'll be doing something, and suddenly I will hear the music. I will hear the music outside my head. And again, it's something like it's coming from like, 6 feet up in the air off to the side there, and we'll be like outside, so there's no way, we don't have any upstairs or downstairs neighbors, so when sounds come from up or down like that, I know they're not real. Well, when they're out, outside of my head, it really can freak you out a little bit. And it's the same thing with hearing voices. I don't hear like, conversations or anything. There's no whisper in my ear telling me to, go make a peanut butter jelly sandwich and smear it on my face or anything. There's no weird directions or instructions being given to me from some other realm. None of that going on. But what there is like I said, I hear my name, I hear clicks and pops, I hear mumbling. Okay, so it's like if you hear a couple people talking in the next room and you hear kind of like that, I hear that come sometimes, and it's progressively getting a little bit worse. But okay, I'm not going to say I 100% of the time know that, the difference between real and fake, but with the music at least, I've been dealing with that again since I was 8 years old when I got into my first accident with my head. So that is a little bit easier to recognize what's real and what's not. The voices and stuff, denied, bro. So the voices and stuff, and the clicks and pops, that's been a little bit more difficult to deal with. Wow. That's been a little bit more difficult to deal with, because I'm not used to those noises, right? And it's something it's odd. It's not like it freaks you out, right? It just, I have an anxiety disorder and autism to begin with, so I'm a little skittish as we already like start the story, right? So I'm a tiny bit skittish as we start. But so what happens is I get a little bit more freaked out, but it's because I don't know, it's extra information coming in, right? Now, another thing that has been developing over the last several years is smells. Oh, it smells. I smell, I'm starting to, it's more and more often, I'm smelling things that aren't there, and that's synesthesia, okay? I think it's called synesthesia. It's basically incorrect sensory information coming into your brain. And I will be sitting somewhere, and it's, people kind of want to know what that, like, what sort of smells. Here. There you go. And now that you've had a meal, you can go on your flight. You can, hello, come here. So I'll be sitting somewhere and people always ask, like, what kind of smells? Oh, she got a curb stomp on the way down. Ouch. But they always ask, like, what kind of smells? It can depend. Sometimes it's something very strong and very distinct, right? So you know how a Taco Bell soft taco smells, right? Think about a Taco Bell soft taco real quick. Okay. So you know that smell, right? Or a Crunch Wrap. Anything that's like, you know, that typical Taco Bell smell. I will be sitting there in bed and I'll be reading or doing something on my tablet. And all of a sudden I'll just like, what the hell? Like it smells like Taco Bell. But then you think, well, maybe one of your neighbors has it, or maybe there's a Grubhub driver or something outside that thought that your apartment was someone else's apartment. No. This is like 2:00 in the morning or something, or whatever time, and suddenly it smells like someone's sitting right next to me, just opened an entire bag of Taco Bell, like, you know, just stuffed full of tacos and burritos and quesadillas and stuff. And that's what it'll smell like it hits me in the face. A lot of the times, though, it is unpleasant smells. Bodily function smells, you know, things that I don't want to smell at all, like, you know, shit and stuff like that. A lot of the times it's chemical smells, like ammonia is a big one for me. The ammonia one kind of started up around when I got COVID the first time, because I think a lot of people had an issue with losing their sense of smell and therefore sense of taste. And one of the things that people had as a kind of beginning symptom for losing your sense of taste and smell was the smell of ammonia in places where it shouldn't be. Well, since then, I've had that happen maybe about once every other week. And it'll last for about 10 to 20 minutes. I'll just kind of like, you know, like, what the hell? And I'll spend that time walking around my apartment sniffing stuff. I'll be like, is that it? No, that's not it. And like, you know, no, it's not you. You know, stuff like that. There you go. But it's the additional symptoms as they come on. So the music, like I said, I'm really used to that. But the additional things like the smells and the sights and all that stuff. And, yeah! And yes, one of the other things, as we go along, I said that I would kind of explain it as we go along, I'm starting to see things as well. Again, it's not like I look over and there's like a Smurf that's like hanging out next to my bed or anything. It's nothing like that. It's like little flashes in the periphery of my vision, right? Or I'll see something move up here. It's things that trigger, you know, because you're really good at seeing things in the corner of your eye. I've mentioned this directly in another video. You exist because your early ancestors learned that when you see something right in the corner of your eye, you're supposed to, oh shit, and get out of there, right? And so you have more receptors in your eyeballs that notice motion than you do color, because it's more important to notice motion than it is the color of the tiger that's coming out of the forest, right? So I notice things a lot. Oh, can I catch her? I'm sorry. Send your brain to your family. She wanted you to have this. Is this your sister? Hey. She wanted you to have this. No. I can't give it to you. I like that. There you go. Anyway, seeing things, you're very sensitive to emotions that are somewhere else, right? That are not what you're looking at the time. And so I'll see a little like flash up here. It's like a little, right, real quick, and it's like, what was that? And as I go along, it's been kind of tough to deal with, right? But the thing is, you can be on medication for this. And if you're someone that right now you know exactly what I'm talking about, I've been describing this time of something that you are absolutely familiar with and absolutely something that you know because you deal with it right now. First of all, if you're not on medication for that and it's something that bothers you, distracts you, makes you feel uncomfortable or whatever, please go talk to a mental health professional about it. Find out if there are treatments that you can get on or coping mechanisms for it. Dude, you're making editing very difficult. But... Oh, man. But if it's something that you think that you need help with, please go get it. Help is readily available. There's medications that can take those symptoms away, antipsychotics. Again, don't attach any stigma to these things. It is absolutely normal. There's tons of people, millions of people that might have the same thing, that do have the same thing that you might have right now. And it's the same thing that I have right now. It's totally manageable. For me, I don't take medication to get rid of it. Now, that might change sometime in the future, depending upon whether these symptoms get overwhelming. But for the music, I've never taken an antipsychotic for it because that music is a companion for me. It has been something that has been, it's filled the void of silence for me my whole life. And so being able to have that to fall back on has been really helpful and given me a lot of comfort. But it can be a little bit overwhelming to have your senses giving you information that's not real. So if you ever encounter someone that has that condition or that talks about like that they're hearing things that aren't there, seeing things that aren't there, don't be afraid to talk to them. They're not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm a nice guy. And they're probably nice people too. Sit down, talk to them, get some experience, get some wisdom. That's what I'm here for as well. Not just silly fun, but a little bit of information for you. Anyway, we will see you in the next one. Like I said, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And you know what? Treat yourself well because you deserve it. Okay, see you again in the next edition of Orpheus Plays, and we'll see you then. Bye!